Welcome to Towel Capes. I'm Cody Nestor. Todd wasn't available for this video. He's off getting his BBL. But this isn't going to be a solo video. Today I have with me my oldest friend, Mr. Andrew Hernandez.
Hey, I really appreciate you letting me out of your sex dungeon to come do this.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime, my friend. You'll get back in there very soon after this is over.
Oh,
I understand you've declined to be on camera. Is that due to some kind of trouble with the law?
yeah, and you said something about you don't want there to be video evidence of all the physical abuse.
Yeah, exactly. They can't see the bruising.
That's right.
They can't see it. So, Andrew, are you ready to talk about one of the best movies of the year?
Is that what we watched?
No, unfortunately. I'd love for us to be doing that, but unfortunately, we're talking about Netflix's Trigger Warning.
I was really excited. You're like, hey, you want to do this podcast thing with me? And I'm like, oh, this will be pretty cool. And then you're like, okay, we're gonna watch Trigger Warning. And then it was some straight ass, Cody.
Yeah.
I don't know why you not as excited anymore.
I don't know what got me on this film to begin with. Like, I saw the trailer and I'm like, it picked out the most, which we'll talk about a little bit later, the most okay action scenes. And I'm like, well, let's see if they can pull off Jessica Alba as Joan Wick here. Like, let's see if they can pull that off. And I'm like, the trailer looked interesting enough to be like, can they turn Jessica Alba into an action star? Is the action they're showing? It looked okay. They showed the one action scene in the in like the store when she's taking down the robbers or whatever, trying to rob the store, and it looked okay. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this is about. I mean, right now there's not a tremendous amount of stuff out. I guess we could have watched any of the other 1,000 good films that have existed before this film. But we're here with Netflix's Trigger Warning, Andrew. I mean, Netflix has been killing it lately with their movies. Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2. I know you loved it.
Oh, fucking 10 out of 10 right there.
Yeah. I know you love that wheat porn.
Slow-mo shots, baby.
Exactly. So, Andrew, Todd's not here, so I'll ask you, what do you think the story was?
So, it is the world's dumbest CIA agent has to go back home after learning that her father died, and then stumbles upon the world's dumbest criminals stealing weapons from the world's dumbest fucking military base, all to sell to domestic terrorists. Did I mention that everyone is dumb?
Yeah, that's a very key point for the plot here. Everyone is indeed dumb as fuck. God. Yeah, before we even really get into the story, I kind of was like, who is responsible for this? Who do I blame for this travesty? So obviously we've got Jessica Alba. She plays Parker. She's our main character. As you said, she's like a highly trained CIA operative. I use the word highly very loosely. We have Mark Webber, who the only thing I recognize that dude from, do you remember him in the Freddy vs. Jason movie? He was like his brother was supposedly in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, and his character was like his brother, and he was like the crazy dude in Freddy vs. Jason, and I think he died in a bathtub.
Fuck
Anyway, he plays Jesse. That guy plays Jesse. You have Anthony Michael Hall doing the bare fucking minimum here as Ezekiel Swan. And we have Tone Bale as a guy named Spider. No last name given. Man, perhaps? We'll never know. The director here, I'm not familiar with the director, Andrew. Maybe you are. Her name is something like that. Nailed it. And she's known for What They Don't Talk About When They Talk About Love. Marlena, the Murderer in 4 Acts, and Fixky. Are you familiar with any of those, Andrew?
No, I did look into her filmography, and like she's actually like all her films that she's done up until this point have been like pretty well
Well
reviewed.
received, yeah.
And this is her first American film, and
She
boy,
broke that
something went
streak.
wrong.
Yeah, something really wrong. The writers, though, and too, that's what, like you said, I did see that too. Her filmography has like been well received until now, until she took that Netflix money. We have John Bricado. He's a writer and producer. He's known for The Game in 1997's The Game, which is a great film. The Net, which I've never seen, and unfortunately Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, which I have seen, sadly. Yeah. Talk to the hand. You know, I hope he was responsible personally for that line.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
We also have, but I mean, he wrote The Game, and I've heard The Net's okay. I mean, The Game is really great. I don't know how much. I mean, he was probably one of like 6 writers, and he probably like suggested nothing that was used in the film. But anyway, you've got Josh Olson. He's a writer and producer. He was known for History of Violence, which is a good film.
Yeah.
He apparently wrote for the original Masters of the Universe cartoon back in '87. And a movie called...
Never watched any of that stuff.
Yeah, the old Rankin and Bass, Masters of the Universe. I think it was Rankin and Bass. And Infested 2002, which I've never seen. And then the other writer that's credited here is Haley Wegren Gross. She's a writer and actress known for Westworld, which I think she was, I don't know what season, but season 1 of Westworld was okay. And
Yeah.
she also provided additional voices and did some writing for The Last of Us Part 2. So
It must have been some like very minimal like writing credits.
She was
I
the
don't
one.
see any of that in this.
She was the one that was like, "Hey guys, spoiler alert, let's beat Joel to death." She, she was that person that's like, "Hey, you know our main character from our last game, let's beat him to death in the first 20 minutes."
There you go.
Yeah, but all right, let's get into the story here. Those are your people responsible, and I mean their filmography is not terrible. It's not like I expected to go on here and see like Gods of Egypt or something, or you know something like that. It's not to that level of terrible. So I really don't know what went wrong here.
Oh yeah, it's a real who's who gives a fuck. Am I right? Like like what's the last thing you remember seeing Jessica Alba in?
Well, that's a good point. I really don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know what the technical last thing. The only thing when I think about what's the last thing I remember Jessica Alba being good in was Sin City.
The first one, right?
The first one, yeah. I never even saw the second.
Well, I mean, like she has such a small role in that. Like, can we even like give her credit for that? Because I mean.
I have her Rotten Tomatoes pulled up here just because I'm going to ask you a question about it in a minute. Apparently, she was in Machete. I don't know. I don't
watched it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that she's really had a starring film that I've ever watched her as the lead star in until this one.
Yeah, I think the last thing I remember watching her in was like Sin City 2: A Name to Kill For. Yeah. But I mean, like that was like such a small role too. And then before that, I think it was like Good Luck Chuck, co-starring, you know, Dane Cook.
Yeah,
and
that smells like
2007. That's right. I gotta say, I think probably Good Luck Chuck's probably my favorite film that she's been in, which is
that's sad.
That says something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I got some questions about her Rotten Tomatoes, but yeah, just kind of looking over it, it's not really good. She's usually just a cute love interest or you know, something like that. She's really never. She doesn't have too many. I think there's that movie Awake she was in, where it was like some kind of half-ass horror movie, if I'm not mistaken. But like, as far as starring roles, this is really the first one I've ever really, I think, watched of hers. But moving on to like through the story here. So yeah, we talked about Jessica Alba. She's a quote unquote highly trained CIA operative. She returns home after the death of her father. She begins to figure out that her father's death might not have been an accident after all. Apparently he was crushed to death in a mine that he apparently loved. He had had like a man cave set up in there, Andrew. Do you like that?
Oh yeah, a literal man cave.
Yeah, literal man cave. Yes, 2 on the nose. Not at all. Not for this film. Wrapping her up in a plot involving black market gun dealing, domestic terrorism, and a local politician played by Anthony Michael Hall and his family kind of at the center of all of it. So, Andrew, I guess to kind of start off, what did you think about that opening action sequence?
So it opens up with a car chase, Parker and another soldier in one vehicle being chased by two other vehicles. And the thing that really stuck out to me is just like how clean everything looked. Like the vehicles, like they're driving through this desert, but like the
Yeah.
vehicles are damn near like spotless. Like the one of the
Like they
one of
come off
the
the car
bad
lot.
guys that's on the machine guns got like a fucking like brand new tracksuit he just fucking got out of like the store. Like
Yep.
it's just I don't know. It doesn't look right. It seems like so fucking so odd.
Yep. Absolutely. I know
Um,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, but so they're running away from these bad guys, and we see that Parker's got some other soldiers up on a hill, and they got a clear shot. And let me ask you, Cody, do you shoot the guy with the RPG, or the guy that's on the mounted machine gun, or B, do you shoot the driver of the truck that doesn't seem to be any real threat at all?
Well, if I was in this movie, I would shoot myself. Um, but then I would probably take out the RPG dude. I would see him as the biggest threat. I would say, because I mean, one shot, one kill, basically. I mean, machine gun guy can do some damage, but I would say to take out the dude with the rocket propelled grenade.
Well, that makes too much sense because you clearly shoot the only guy that doesn't have a gun. You shoot the driver in truck
you
A
shoot you shoot the
for
driver
whatever fucking reason.
through the window, like also like right close to another passenger, right? Doesn't it fly by a passenger's
Yeah.
head into the driver's
Uh huh.
head? So you're doing a
Yeah. I mean,
moving
he could.
snipe on that dude through a window past another person. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could have got a twofer, but he's like,
Nah. Exactly. I'll go for the one shot, one kill of this driver.
Yeah, I mean, it's little things like that, like the decision making and just like the weird things that people decide to do in this movie. That it's like all throughout the movie. That's just like, are these people stupid?
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing.
shoot,
So yeah, like even in the open action sequence, what really turned me off is like they end up what shooting is it they how do they end up crashing their little truck that Jessica Alba's in?
so they shoot the driver of the first truck, and so the guy with the RPG in the second truck behind him panics, and he shoots off
Ah,
his RPG, and it hits Jessica Alba's vehicle, and it causes them to flip, and in turn, like it fucking kills the driver that she was with.
yeah,
And
and
I'm
this
like, all of this
is
could have been avoided if you maybe like would have prioritized the right people.
right. Yeah, that's the thing that bugged me. So like the two tracksuit soldiers, right, with their brand new tracksuits get out. There's like one with a blue tracksuit. I think one's wearing like a red flannel shirt or something, and they're like looking around.
Yeah.
And red flannel dude is like the driver's he's dead and the other one's gone, and they kind of look out, and in the setting they're in, it's a completely flat isolated desert. There's no real hills or mountains around. It's pretty 100% visibility, and so they see a couple trails of blood on the ground, then they see a weapon, and that dude's like, all right, let me continue following this. I'm like, you could have known, if you don't see that person, do a 360. If you don't see them running, they're probably still in that fucking truck. It's 360-degree visibility all around you. There's nowhere to hide. There's not a big rock out there that she could have been hiding behind. She's obviously still in the fucking truck because you can see it every fucking direction. And that was the first thing that I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those movies. This is going to be one of those movies. And of course, yeah, she's still in the van or whatever, the truck. She gets out. She kills red flannel dude. Her and blue tracksuit have a little like, tussle in the back of it. And she gets her first knife kill, Andrew. And boy, that'll be a theme of this film.
Yeah,
She's got a
yeah,
knife
we get
fetish,
our
baby.
first. Yeah, we get our first look at the fight choreography, and man, it just looks so slow and
Yeah.
boring, and the movements look clunky, and it's just unimpressive. Like,
Yeah,
ugh.
the slowness I think is what really gets it. Like I don't know if they sped up the film at any at all, but if they didn't, they damn sure should have. They should have put that on one and a half times speed or something.
Right.
So I guess let's get into some of our performance here, our main performance, the one that really counts here. So, what did you think of Jessica Alba's performance as her turn as Joan Wick here, aka Parker?
Yeah, man. I don't know if the bank account funds are running low, but like she should have stayed retired because this ain't it, Chief. This was bad.
Yeah, this it was very. I don't know. Is wooden a good term for it? Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know really how to classify it. It's definitely not good. It feels wooden. It feels very. I don't know. It feels very just meh. It feels like there's a couple scenes where like she looks like she's trying to cry, but it's just I don't think the tears are coming, Chief. And it's just I don't
Yeah,
know.
I totally forgot about the whole. I'm so like fixated on like, man, she just can't pull off like any of the stunt work. I totally forgot that like she can't act at all.
Yeah, I mean
Because
that
you're
was
right, there are those like emotional scenes like where it's just I'm like, oh, this looks like really forced.
and it's like the director knows we can't linger on this too long. Like, let's just get to the point where she goes from normal face, then she goes scrunch, crying face, and let's cut away real quick. That gives the audience
Right.
enough to know she has emotions, but and then we'll go on to something else. But yeah, it's very wooden. It's very I don't even know how to really characterize it, but I think that's kind of been a knock on her whole career. She's never been looked at as a lead actress. Obviously, since we just went down her a little bit through Rotten Tomatoes and we didn't really see many lead actress roles, maybe there's a good reason.
Yeah.
She works as like a side character or something in Sin City. She works like something like that. She maybe works as the love interest in a rom com, like you said, like Good Luck Chuck or something like that. But when she's like carrying a movie that's supposed to be emotional at parts, and then also she's supposed to be emotional, and then a part she's supposed to be like a deadly trained killer, doesn't pull it off.
Not even close.
Doesn't come off at all. So here you go. Here's a question for you, Andrew. Do you think Trigger Warning has a higher or lower Rotten Tomato score than Fantastic Four 2005?
It's got to be lower. Like, there's no way you can tell me that this is worse than Fantastic Four.
Any guess what
Or
the current tomato meter is for Trigger Warning?
like a 2.
No, not quite. It's at 20%, and it is lower than Fantastic Four 2005, which is at 28%. And then you have Rise of the Silver Surfer 2007 at 38% as well. What was your movie there? Good Luck Chuck that you mentioned. Good Luck Chuck has a 5%.
What?
Yeah. Good Luck Chuck has a 5%. That is her lowest
Oh.
other than a couple that have zeros.
Oh
There's a
shit!
couple
I
that
thought
have-
like for sure that one was better than fucking Silver Surfer.
No, it has a 5%, sir. Her highest is a
Alright.
movie I've never seen called Stretch from 2014. And her second highest is 76%, which is Sin City from 2005. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good luck, Chuck. Yeah. Good luck at the box office. is what they said about that film in 2007 when Dane Cook was having his moment, I guess.
Yeah.
You messaged me about this later, but I'm still going to, or later last night, I'm still going to ask you about it. Any way you could explain how Jessica Alba gets involved with this plot and the Swan family?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me try and do my best. It's just like everyone is so stupid and everyone makes
Yeah.
such stupid decisions, and it's just I'm like, what? So she comes home and she gets in touch with the sheriff, guy that she used to date back in high
Yeah.
school,
They
right?
used to bang, yeah.
Yeah, and she, he's like, oh, like, your dad died. Uh, might not have been an accident. So she starts getting nosy and like, finds out that her dad had like set up cameras and like she's trying to get the footage. And somehow this leads to her going to a bar with a weed man.
Yeah, there's a weed man in the film. Yeah, apparently her dad was a miner. He was a military guy. He was a miner, and he also built her a bar called Maria's. that
Yeah.
they just hang out in. And one other thing too that she figures out why it might have been foul play is because she sees she has a weed guy take her down to where her dad died, and she notices the rocks have like pock marks on them. And I mean, she's obviously a highly trained CIA agent, so she knows those probably come from explosives. So she goes back up to the bar, which happens to have a live grenade just laying in a drawer. And she takes weed guy out into the middle of the desert, and they throw that grenade. And she's like, "Oh, look, the pock marks on this rock match what crushed my father because these probably were this the mine was probably blown up because of a grenade." And my father's not too much of a dumbass to have blown himself up, so this obviously must have been foul play.
Oh my god, man! Just like the fucking from
Why couldn't
point
they have
A to
just
point
found
B to get
something
to
on the
C.
camera? Why do you need this stupid grenade explanation? She sends the camera footage to Spider, which is her like friend in the military
Hacker man.
CIA, yeah, hacker guy, and
Yeah.
he's got the footage. Why doesn't he call her and be like, "Hey, I'm sending you some footage. Here's your dad getting murdered by what looks like Elvis." And not Elvis Presley. There's a character in the film called Elvis. But why not do that? Why have this stupid grenade pockmark plot that does nothing and goes nowhere? Those cameras, if you think about it, those cameras amounted to nothing in the film, Andrew. Nothing.
No, 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 no. We get to see him at the very end of the film, after everyone's like, fucking dead.
God, it makes no sense. Like,
And that's what I'm telling you, man. Everyone just feels so dumb. Like, did you eat lead paint chips as children? Like, how are you fucking coming up with these decisions to be like, yeah, grenade?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, a good.
I
I'm
don't
just
know,
glad.
man.
I'm glad her dad just had one laying around in the bar, so she could illustrate her point about how those stones would have been pockmarked like that. We'll save some of the rest of the story here, but she basically gets involved with that family through this because it turns into a gun running, gun smuggling. Apparently, there's an army depot in town, and Elvis, which is one of our characters, Elvis Swan, he's got some family or some friends apparently that are in that army depot. She finds out, and they seem like they might be stealing kind of military weapons out of that army depot. And that's kind of how it pretty much starts out. But we'll save the. I don't even know what to call it. It's not really even a conclusion. We'll save the disappointment for a little bit later in this video when we talk about it. So the thing that kind of drew me to this, because like again in the trailers, I'm like, okay, the action might be okay. I was like, okay, you sold me on this, like in this little trailer. I was like, can Jessica Alba? She's been kind of like you said, she's been like, I don't know, in like a pseudo retirement or maybe a forced Hollywood retirement, because they're just like, no, Jessica, no, honey, go home. We don't have anything for you today. But she's back and she's like trying to do her turn as like an action star. And I'm like, okay, that's a little interesting because it could be really bad, like funny bad. This film is not funny bad, unfortunately.
No, I wish.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe the action will be good enough, to kind of carry it a little bit and be some interesting stuff done with it. So, like I said, for every one okay action scene you get three terrible ones in return. How did you feel about the action scenes overall? Is there any that worked for you, or any that you thought were good?
I don't know which 1 and 3 action scenes you're talking about, because I mean they all look like dog shit to me. They
Yeah.
all look bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
Uh,
I mean, like I said, it's just too slow. I think if you like sped it up or like, I don't know, like you said, it's just too slow. I think some of the choreography, I think in some parts are okay, but then like you said, it's too slow. So you kind of lose its impact when it's like that slow. Like we're kind of used as an audience today to that really quick kind of John Wick kind of pacing. And I mean, not
yeah,
everything has to be John Wick, of course, but like, it needs to be something a little bit more. It never felt violent, even though there was violence on screen. You know what I mean? It never felt
yeah,
violent. It
exactly.
felt like the slowest execution I've ever seen.
Yeah, so I'd watched an interview with her and the director, and Jessica Alba was talking about how they had worked with this group called 8711, and they're stunt choreographers, and those guys have worked on the first two John Wick films. They've worked on a lot of the Expendable films. They've worked on a lot of those like Jason Statham movies that you scroll past like on Hulu and Prime that you're like, when the fuck did Jason Statham do this?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, like those like they know what they're doing because like the action scenes in like, John Wick 1 and 2 are good. That's kind of like, what you want your the standard to be.
Right.
But like I don't know if this is on them or if it's just on Jessica just can't do like action stuff. Like because I mean they clearly have like the resume for the stuff and somebody here isn't delivering,
Yeah, I mean I think you have seemingly it looks like the director. Now one thing, the director's filmography doesn't seem like to be a lot of action films. It seems to be like more everyday relationship drama stuff. So maybe she's not the strongest at directing action. Also, Jessica Alba, not known as an action star. She's not a, I don't know, who's a female action star of today, Andrew? Gina Carano? Fired from Disney, Gina Carano. I mean, but yeah, I mean, she doesn't have a background in like action films. She's not really come from that world. Again, she's come from the worlds of like Good Luck Chuck and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination, like you said. I think it's Jessica not being the most. I mean, she doesn't look to me like someone that's just like in between takes. She's over there just doing crunches and like chin ups and pull ups.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like maybe she is, and then like also, I think it's her not being as capable when it comes to the action, and maybe the director not being as familiar with directing action, because like you said, there are some pretty competent people behind the scenes. The stunt team, the director is competent in terms of her filmography, but again, maybe not action oriented. The writers seem to be okay, but everybody just, I think at one point everybody's just like, they were really trying real hard and they got to like one day and they're just like, man, this is not going to work. Let's just phone this in. I'm going to call my agent and go ahead and schedule me for my next job, because this is about to flop. This is about to flop hard. Like, I'm going to need a soft landing spot after this bombs hard on Netflix. Here's another big thing that bugged the fuck out of me, right? So she at one point catches Elvis and another goon in and around the mine. She ends up like chasing them all the way back to their car, beating the fuck out of them inside the car. And she gets arrested by Sheriff Beard, right? That's what I'll call him. It's our sheriff guy, the guy she used to bang. So she gets arrested by Sheriff Beard, and he is there with his brother Elvis Swan and his daddy Anthony Michael Hall, and they're all in the sheriff's office, and they all agree that Jessica Alba knows too much, right? And she's got to go. And Jessica Alba she goes back in, she's talking to, she's in her cell. Sheriff Beard goes back there, and she's like, oh, my dad had cameras at the mine. He's like, oh, those ones in the bar don't work. And she's like, no, he put real ones outside. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna need to see them. I'm gonna need to see that footage. And she's like, not before my lawyer does. And now in my head, I'm like, well, you think you're getting a lawyer, you dumb bitch. I'm like, you've obviously stumbled into a plot where this family is going to like kill you. Like they've put you in the sheriff's office. They're all in it together. You're not going to get a lawyer. They're going to fucking kill you. And then in the next scene, they bring in a fucking lawyer. What the fuck is going on? They let her have a lawyer, Andrew, because at 10 minutes later, they're torturing her in the sheriff's department. In broad daylight, mind you. Right in the open, in the sheriff's office, in the cells in the back. They're just torturing this bitch and punching her to death. Meanwhile, the sheriff goes out after her lawyer leaves, and he goes and trails her lawyer and kills him. I thought at one point, okay, maybe they're going to do a little thing where they bring in this lawyer and the dad has like paid him off and he's going to be on their side, and it's like they're making her feel better, and maybe they're going to use the lawyer to like try to set up to get a copy of those videos because they paid him off. No, they murder him. then you're like, what the fuck is the point? We're back to square one. You know this bitch had to die. You knew she wasn't making it out of this jail cell alive. Why would you give her a phone call?
Yeah, again, man, why? Like that's something that I kept asking myself all throughout this movie. Like, why?
Why?
Like they have been, yeah, exactly. Like they have been clearly beating on this woman for like who knows how long, and they're like, yeah, we could bring in a lawyer.
Yeah. Let's let her contact the outside
we'll let
world.
You talk to somebody.
Yeah, make your one phone call, honey. Huh? We'll still, even though we're bad guys, we still follow the rules around here. You still get your one phone call. Then we'll come back to torturing you.
Exactly. Like these guys have already like reached a point like where there's no turning back. Like.
Exactly. They've killed her dad. Yeah, they've killed her dad. And then there's also the thing, too. She's passed up 2 or 3 opportunities to kill a couple of these dudes already by that point in the film. She's already had opportunity to have, like, slit that Elvis dude's throat, like, 3 times. And she doesn't take it, which is another part of this movie that really pisses me off. Is, like, if she was actually the killer she's supposed to be, this movie would have been 5 minutes long. Everybody would have died in the first...
If she is this special ops, fucking CIA agent that she's supposed to be, she probably just would have made a phone call to somebody she knows in like the first, 3 minutes of the movie. And all of this could have been avoided,
Yeah. Oh, she only involves her friend Spider. Oh, and did you like the part where she's trying to call the Army Depot to warn the captain about the plot that's going on in his Army Depot, and like the receptionist hangs up on her? She couldn't get help, Andrew.
You mean like 10 minutes before the fucking film's over?
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, should I tell somebody at the Army Depot some shit's going down over there? Nah. Let me wait till the last
the lady
possible.
hung up on me. Should I keep trying? Should I maybe
should I go there in person?
Other avenues of like getting in touch with somebody? Nah, fuck it.
Should I use my CIA contacts to like get something to like the CIA director, who will then contact the president, or and say, hey, you want an easy open and shut gun smuggling case? I've got this place that I'm from called Creation, where some dudes have like some redneck good old boys stealing weapons out of your military base. I mean, you can send like 5 dudes down here and shut the whole fucking thing down overnight, but let's not do that. Let's not do that at all, Andrew. But yeah, the lawyer stuff, that really bugged me. I'm like, unless this dude's about to walk out of this office and they're like, bad guy smiling handshake. And like, we got her, like, okay, the lawyer, he's a bad guy and he'll try to get the tapes from her and she'll turn them over and we'll get him and then we'll kill her. Nah, it's not like that. He follows the lawyer out to the mine and kills the lawyer because I guess the film needed to run 10 minutes more because it's only an hour, 46 minutes. They had to pad it somehow, Andrew. They're like, oh, we can't make this movie 62 minutes. We got to be at least over an hour and a half. Maybe her lawyer comes in, and they're like, well, they're torturing her. I don't care. Make her lawyer come in. We need 10 more minutes on the runtime. We mentioned the weed guy earlier. Did you like the part? There's a scene where after she escapes the sheriff's office, she escapes her torture. I guess it was implied that she escapes using some type of hair clip or something in her hair.
Yeah, I guess.
To get the handcuffs off of herself. She gets that. She gets the drop on them. She shoots Anthony Michael Hall in the shoulder with a CGI bullet because you can clearly tell it was added in post-production. And then she locks the 2 of them in the cell, and then she gets away, and she ends up back at her buddy Mikey, the weed guy's house. We don't know that at first because you see Elvis go into Mikey, the weed guy's house. They're looking for Jessica Alba. They don't find her downstairs. They don't find her upstairs. They don't find her in the basement because she's in the secret sub-basement weed lair under the actual basement. Andrew, what did you think of that? Academy Award-winning stuff right there.
I mean, it's a nicer basement than the one that you keep me in. At least there's a bed down there.
You don't get anything.
Man, like I had mentally checked out by this point. Like it's just again, just like I just kept asking myself why. Why is any of this happening?
Like, how do you even go?
Like I could not care anymore at this point. It's like it's so fucking dumb. Like yeah, exactly. Like she's not in the basement, but ooh, there's a secret second basement down here that's got like medical supplies, and it's where he keeps all his weed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like it's all like convenience plot points. That's just like to keep this movie like just trucking along.
Yeah, they know that at the writers know at one point the hero has to like have that moment where they get a little bit beat down and they need like that to lean on their some friends or something or family, and then kind of nurse them back to health. And this film has to check that box. So that's the scene there to check that box. Our hero has to kind of has to come up against some adversaries that kind of take a piece out of her, but she has to get nursed back to health before the last big climactic battle. And this is what you get here with a secret weed sub basement that I don't even understand the logistics of how you get that built. Because like it was, I'm assuming it wasn't part of the original like sale of that house. It's like, hey, here's a nice 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. There's a secret weed lair in the basement.
Yeah,
like. Where do I sign, sir? You had me at secret weed lair. So, like, how do you even get somebody out there how to build that? I don't understand. You just dig it out yourself.
Is this up to code?
Yeah, no. It could. Why could it just all have collapsed on all three of them? The mom, Jessica Alba, and Mikey the weed guy. Why couldn't it just collapse? Why couldn't you see a beam that's like half split and it just goes and the whole foundation just crushes all of them? That would have been a better ending than what we actually got.
If
only. So here's where I'll reveal to you the plot here. So again, turns out Elvis has been selling guns stolen from the local army depot to some domestic terrorist dudes. He was moving and storing the guns in the mine. Alba's dad found out. They killed him. He ended up dropping a grenade beside him as he was dying and sealed part of the mine where the weapons were stashed. And now we have domestic terrorist. He's back. He's wanting his guns. He bought 5 RPGs. He's not been delivered them because they're stuck in that mine. And so he and his men, they end up tying up Anthony Michael Hall, and they head for the mine. And at this point, it's pretty much our last final battle here after we deal with our resolution of Anthony Michael Hall's character. So you want to take us through that, and then how we end up, what happens at the mine, Andrew?
So at this point,
I know you're so ready. You're like, are we still talking about this, Cody?
Please make it stop. No, so like you said, at this point, like the deal's gone south because Elvis can't deliver the guns. The terrorist, the main guy, his name is Ghost because why not?
Oh shit, I didn't even know his name was Ghost. Is because he's white as a ghost?
Yeah, let's think of the edgiest fucking name and just name him that
edgelord name.
So he's already paid for these guns up front. He can't deliver, and he's like, all right, well, I'll just hold your fucking dad hostage. So Parker goes looking for answers, right? She's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking find out what happened to my dad. And so she shows up at the Ezekiel at his house, and she walks in through the front door, and Jesus Christ, like there is somebody in a chair facing the door, like when she walks in, and the dude just like nothing, no reaction whatsoever. And like he doesn't actually like get up and he's like, oh, what the fuck, until like she starts trying to kill him. And I'm like, why? Just
you think they'd be on high alert.
Exactly. I would have had a shotgun in my hand, like that doorknob would have twitched. I would have just started blasting. Not this guy.
Oh shit, it was just Papa John's.
Right? Is that
I forgot I ordered a pizza.
Exactly.
I cut the poor pizza boy in half.
Yeah, so we get some more garbage ass hand-to-hand combat. She kills that guy. So, she heads upstairs, and like, Ezekiel's tied to the fucking chair. And she's like, what really happened to my dad? And he's like, oh, I was bluffing, we didn't do anything to him. And then she's like, nah, I don't fucking believe you.
And then we go to another scene, and like he doesn't get killed on camera. there's a throwaway line later about what did you do, and she was like, I made him talk or some shit like that. Like, did you kill him? And she's like, I made him talk. He's like, I thought he was supposed to be. I mean, he's like he's the second biggest actor, quote unquote, biggest actor in this film. And I thought he was set up to be the big bad, and he does nothing in this film at all.
I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, well, this guy is clearly the brains of the operation, you know?
Yeah.
Nah, he's nothing.
He does nothing. He gets his ass whipped a couple times by her. He gets his ass whipped by Ghost or domestic terrorist guy. He gets tied to a chair and I guess dies off screen. And his character bit is unresolved. He may be alive, but I don't know.
Yeah, like we get, so we get this like corny ass cringy shot of like Jessica, like, you know, from behind, and then she's got like this machete on a little sling thing on her back, and like, you know, she pulls it out, and then like she throws it over her shoulder, like, you know, she's some fucking badass. But you know that, oh god, that scene, I'm like, ugh, like this looks bad. And then that just made me realize, like, oh, like the cinematography itself, like all in this movie is like really fucking bad too. Like it's not just the acting, the fight scene, like, you know, like the shots that they use, like, you know, like it looks like a bunch of high school students made this fucking film, you know? Like, none of it looks like professional.
I was honestly thinking the same thing. Yeah, the cinematography and the lighting and stuff is very, very, very bland. Very, like, very TV. And TV has come a long way. I'm saying like old TV show lighting and cinematography. And it really does not look like a Hollywood film at all. I don't even know what the budget for this film was, but I hope it wasn't much, because whatever you paid for was too much. Because
I tried looking into seeing how much Netflix put into this, and I couldn't find an answer. And I'm like,
yeah, they don't want that out there, Andrew. They don't. They shredded those files.
Yeah, exactly.
They shredded those files. It's like, there's no way we can admit how much we actually spent on this fucking film at all. The scene at the mine too, like she gets to the mine, and so when she's being tortured in the jail, they give her a lawyer phone call, but they also try to set up. She tells them that she's like giving the video to somebody else, and they put her on the phone with that guy, and clearly she's gonna like tell him what's going on, like the first chance she gets. I thought, like, why didn't they just text him and set all this up or whatever? But you know, whatever. Because they had her phone, and but she yells to Spider. She's like, "Oh, they're torturing me." So he ends up showing up later. He shows up at the mine in the third act, and he literally, I love how he just pulls up in the middle of like 6 armed terrorists, clearly armed terrorists. He just pulls up in his little Toyota Camry right to their feet and is like, "Hey guys, what's going on? Are you domestic terrorists moving weapons through this mine?"
Like the fact that he wasn't like already like, oh, this, like, I probably shouldn't even stop here because there are like a bunch of armed men doing like sketchy things in the middle
moving
of the
boxes
night
and crates and vans at a mine. Yeah. Oh yeah. And this is where I tracked the location of my friend's cell phone who was being tortured. Yeah. I shouldn't be on high alert. I should just roll up here in a 3-piece suit in my fucking Toyota Camry and be completely unprepared for what I'm finding, even though I see all these dudes strapped to the nines, because this movie makes no fucking sense. This movie does not care about logic one bit. So of course he ends up getting taken, but not before she one shot explodes a van. Did you notice that? She takes that little rifle of hers.
I noticed.
In one shot's a van and it explodes.
Again, I was sitting there like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. Also, like, did you like to?
Yeah, no. So yeah, like after she shoots the fucking van that explodes, like Spider starts getting the shit kicked out of him, you know, because they're like, oh, you know, something's not right. Beat this guy up. And then like there's this guy that like gets the drop on Parker, like, you know, Cody, do you A, shoot her in the back of the head before she notices you're there, or B, be like, hey, what are you doing up here? And then
try to grab her. Yeah. Well, again, I take option C. I shoot myself. But no, I definitely just shoot her in the back of the head or pump her full of like however many bullets I have in my gun and be like, "Hey guys, I got her!" Like from the top of the hill.
No,
Yeah, I don't just slowly walk up on her and grab her.
Not
Yeah,
in trigger
not
warning.
trigger
Cody.
warning
No,
logic.
you announce that you're there. You lose the element of surprise, and then you lose to a woman that is maybe like a foot shorter than you, and
And
like you
weighs
got like
86
pounds
pounds.
on her.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you lose in a fist fight to her, and then you die.
Oh God, I love though, Andrew. I mean, this isn't a comment on her being a woman. This is a comment on the costume design in this film. So all your badass
Oh
action
my
stars
god.
have really cool, like you watch Extraction, really cool tactical gear. You watch John Wick, really cool suits and costume design. She goes into battle. She goes into battle wearing some khakis, a flower print shirt, and an orange leather jacket with flower stitches and a big emblazoned eagle on the back. That's her fight attire. That's her ending third act finale battle gear, Andrew. A CIA operative. She's wearing an orange leather jacket with an eagle on the back. Who got paid for this?
Bulletproof vest? No, thank you.
No, thank
Where
you.
is my jacket?
Yeah, exactly. Where is my jacket? Yeah. Again,
I think she knew that she was protected by plot armor, so she was never in real danger.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
You like, I don't need this.
It's true. She's got 100% shields and plot armor in this. She does take a couple shot. Well, she takes a shot to the back. At one point, I was like, oh, I thought they were going to do something interesting, and it looked like she took like 3 or 4 bullet machine gun fires to the back. But no, she took like 1 bullet in the like fatty part of the back of her arm. That was it.
Clean,
that was it.
Just what goes through.
Just clean,
nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've definitely talked about this film for too long. So the mine scene, she kills some dudes. She has a fight with Elvis. She ends up killing Elvis, takes him out. And, again, all these fights are the most mediocre things you've seen. We get basically to the last man standing here is Jesse, Sheriff Beard. So apparently he's ran back through the mine and he's taken a ladder up through a cargo container that just so happens to open in the Army Depot, Andrew.
That's how they've been smuggling the guns out is through this underground tunnel system that's connected to this fucking storage container.
No one does inventory. No one checks the cargo containers at all on the Army base. No one heard loud digging going on, inside of a cargo container for them to dig this big ass hole through this mine or any of that. All of it, completely under the military's nose. So yeah, he escapes through there, and him and Jessica Alba, they engage in like what I would say is the film's worst depicted game of cat and mouse. As they're looking for each other through again in broad daylight, looking for each other through the cargo containers, and it's not even a fight. There's no drama. She finds him. They push each other a couple times and do a couple, little moves on each other. But it's not a fight because old dude whips out a grenade. He pushes Jessica Alba away and blows himself up because he's like, oh, this town sucks. And it turns you into a bad person and who sells weapons to terrorists and kills lawyers. Boom. And that's how the last bad guy goes down. Not in a big climactic fight with Anthony Michael Hall or the Elvis guy. No, it's the Sheriff Beard in broad daylight among some cargo containers in a military facility that never gets alerted really to their presence. I mean, she reveals herself, but no one ever comes after she reveals herself. Everybody runs away from the last fight.
Exactly.
No one ever comes out to inspect any of the stuff going on. There's no cameras to alert anybody. The facility's not on high alert until the grenade explodes, and you hear as the film is kind of going away from that shot, it's like, oh, we're on high alert. Everybody get the fuck out of here, kind of thing. Like it's so dumb, Andrew. There's no tension. There's no drama. There's no stakes. There's nothing whatsoever, and it doesn't deliver any kind of memorable fight scene. And that's what you have to have out of this movie, because you're not going into it wanting, you're not going to go into it for Oscar-winning performances and all this stuff. You're going into it hoping that you have a semi-decent plot, or at least a passable plot, and some memorable action scenes, and you don't get any fucking where close to that.
Exactly. Like I thought that I'm like after the Ezekiel died, I'm like, well, maybe Ghost is going to be the next big bad. But
Nope.
then like he dies in the tunnels, and like
Yep.
I had to rewind the part where he dies because it's like 10 seconds long, and I'm like, oh, this was Ghost. I'm like, he's
Yep.
just like killed, just like so
Yeah.
nonchalantly, and I'm like, all
Non-LaChelle.
right,
Yep.
well.
That's it.
I guess I'm not going to get a good fucking action scene out of anything.
Anything. Nope. Two other things I wanted to mention before we kind of go to wrap it up here. So there is a part where, what was I just going to say? I lost my whole train of thought. Oh, it's about Spider. So when she rescues Spider, they're like, we got to blow the munition supply down in this mine, and he ends up grabbing an RPG, and they're being chased away by some goons, and they're about, I don't know, 30 feet away from the door or the crack in the wall that like exposes that munitions depot. And he takes the RPG and just danger close fires right into that room. And I'm somehow led to believe that he's alive after that, and his organs are not liquid. His organs would have been liquefied, Andrew. He was so close to that explosion. But
Yeah,
apparently he lives through
no.
that. And
Yeah,
another,
he lived through the fucking cave like collapsing in on him too, because he was buried under like
yes,
a
he
good
also
amount of
gets
rubble.
buried under rubble or some like styrofoam rocks that were posed as rubble. Another thing I wanted to mention, I forgot, I should have mentioned it way earlier. There's a plot point. It's the briefest, embarrassed of plot points, but there's a part where she fights some. She notices a truck at outside of another bar, not her bar, but another bar. And her and Mikey follow that truck because it looks stolen because there's a screwdriver in the key column, and there's a weapon in the back. So she follows them there, and it turns out those dudes are robbing some store. She goes in and stops the robbery. She's doing her kung fu stuff on one guy. Notices a familiar watch on his wrist. Andrew, turns out it was a stolen watch. It was stolen from some old military man she knew years ago. And she takes that watch back to that said military man and gives him his watch back. And that guy comes back later to give her machete that she has, because she gets some armaments from him, and she gets some guns from the guy that runs that bar as well. Who we didn't even mention, all that gang shows up in the tunnels later in the end of the fight to do nothing.
Exactly. I didn't know if you wanted to get into that, but
I
yeah,
don't.
like Parker does a couple. She does a couple side quests in the movie, and then she's rewarded by having backup cavalry show up, at the end to help her out a little bit. And I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid.
She's got like, some useless NPCs that do nothing. They do nothing, and they're inconsequential. Exactly. They do nothing to be in there. They're never used as like, none of the bad guys ever threaten to use them or kill them or anything. They're never taken hostage to like make there be stakes or anything. Nothing is done with their characters. They just show up there to just be on screen, and I guess again pat it out for another 5 minutes. In our final scenes, we see Jessica Alba. She rebuilds Maria's. She lets Weed Guy take it over. She goes and gasses up her old pickup with a Spider. And apparently the best time to watch her dad's camera footage is on a laptop outside a gas station while Spider pumps gas. And we get, again, no big reveals on the footage. The footage was, again, largely inconsequential in the film. No emotional goodbye message from her dad or anything hidden on the hard drive. Just some bitch riding a horse, I remember seeing. And then you get Mikey, the weed guy, calling about the paint swatches for the bar and what she thinks will be better. And then it ends. And you're like, fuck this movie. I want the hour and 45 minutes of my life back.
I want to know, because like there didn't seem to be a gas station attached to that gas pump, so I'm like, why is there just this random gas pump in the middle of nowhere?
They run out of money for the gas station set, Andrew. They're like, hey, there's like a crew guy, there's like a union like Teamster guys, like, hey, we can build the pump, but we run out of money for the station. What do you want to do about it? And taking a big drag off of Marlboro.
Yeah, like Spider. Yeah, like Spider's, he's got all the video footage like on his laptop. Like, you should have just forwarded this to somebody. Like, you could have avoided all of this.
Yeah, you could have avoided all this. Yeah, you could have brought like all your CIA team down there, and just like did taken care of this in like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
could have told anybody at the Army Depot. Could have done anything. She could have killed
like
them numerous
some,
times when she had the chance before the final battle. Any of that.
yeah, there's some stupid line like at the very end of the film or something like, oh, like, you know, she'll come back or show up like when she's needed or some shit. And I'm like, oh, they're trying to set this up for a sequel.
No,
Thank
you don't. No, you fucking don't, Netflix. Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare try to stage this shit. She'll come back when she's needed. Like fucking Batman. Hit a big knife signal in the sky and she'll come running.
A big machete symbol up
A
in the
big
sky
machete, exactly. Yeah. Oh God. All right, Andrew. Let's go right on to review score. I had a couple other questions, but we've talked way too long about this film. So let's I'll let you anything else you have to say you can put in your final thought. So Andrew, give us your review score and your final thought for Netflix's Trigger Warning.
Score wise, I give this a solid 2 out of 10.
Oof.
I would give it a 1 out of 10, but Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon 1 and 2 exist, and those are the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. So.
Fair, all fair.
You know, this movie is like one of those like straight to DVD like bargain bin fucking movies. Like, there's no way like that if this movie would have got released, it would have made like any money at all. It's just bad. Like, everyone's stupid. Like, why was this made?
Yep.
Please, Jessica Alba, don't make another fucking movie again.
make Good Luck Chuck 2.
There you go. Bring Dane Cook back. That's
yeah, exactly.
24.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Score wise, I'm gonna go with a 3 just because the lowest thing I've ever rated anything was Rebel Moon, and I gave that a 2. So I can't put this below
generous.
that. Yeah, generous. Yes, I was drinking that day. So yeah, I will give this a 3, which on our scale is bad. This screams to me like someone financed this film, put way too much money into it for what they invested and what they got back on their return, and said, "Oh, we can't release this in cinemas. We need to sell this to any streaming service we can." Unfortunately for Netflix, they were the one who bit. This feels like it should be on like Tubi. You know,
yeah.
This feels like a Tubi original or something, you know, and that's what it feels like to me. Is like we had a movie, someone invested in it, somehow they're like, oh, we got Jessica Alba in it, and we got $20 to $50 million to make this film, and we're gonna make this really cool action film, and they're like, ooh, this is bad, when they went and screened it and watched it. So let's try to sell this and dump this on what streaming platform we can get and get some investment or some of our money back out of this. And what you get is just a bland, uninteresting, completely forgettable Netflix film that's just completely defies all logic and common sense when it comes to any of the characters. The performances are wooden. You get no real big bad. Anthony Michael Hall, he's just there for a paycheck. He does nothing. Jessica Alba's just kind of there for a paycheck and to try to cry, but she can't really cry. And at the end of the day, I feel like I'll never get that time back, Andrew. I'll never, and I wasted your time and mine.
Yeah, next time you're
I don't
like,
really
hey,
feel bad about yours, though.
I'm gonna be like, no, I'm good.
Next time we'll watch something good, maybe. I'm exclusively just going to bring you back to talk about Jessica Alba movies. So,
oh hell yeah!
Next week we're going to watch. I don't know what's a movie with her. We're going to watch like Barely Lethal. Oh, that movie Honey. We'll watch Honey. She was in that, right? We'll watch Honey next week. Andrew returns for Honey. But yeah,
hell yeah.
This is just a terrible movie, and obviously, if you've listened this long to this, should you watch this? Is it one of those that's so bad it's good? No, not at all. It's so bad it'll piss you off and give you an aneurysm.
Not even like background noise while doing chores. Like, just don't watch this at
all. No, it's not even that. Just don't watch this at all. Put on something else. Like, for God's sakes, don't give this any kind of view where they can market it later and be like, oh, Trigger Warning got 20 million views in its first 3 days. Fuck you. How long was those views? 20 million views for 38 seconds.
Got 20 million views, and now we're gonna jack up the price of our subscription another $5.
Exactly. Unless you want ads, bitch. I mean, we know you don't want ads. All right. I think we'll call that a wrap for this episode. Andrew, I appreciate you coming by, filling in for Todd so he can get his Brazilian butt lift this week. Can't wait to see those results. We got to get you back down in the basement now. I got to take out my frustration on this film on you. So get yourself back in the basement, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Feel free to send us an email and get in touch with us on social media. Towel Capes will return. We want to thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye, guys.
Later.